All right, so I'm just gonna switch off my camera. If anything happens, I'll be here. Please enjoy your class, and Sensei, thanks again for your help.
Thank you, Philippe Sensei. First, I'd like to say how deeply grateful I am to Philippe Sensei for first taking the initiative to organize this fundraiser, which is for an incredibly important purpose, to assist those people in Ukraine who are suffering during this terrible, terrible conflict. As some of you might have guessed from my surname, I have family connections to people in that region, and we all want to do what we can to support and look after people that suffer. Regardless of what side they're on, they're all suffering. In Ukraine, of course, people are suffering, but everyday people are the ones that suffer in these conflicts, and we should do our best to help each other and look after each other. That is, in fact, the spirit of karate, is that we should care about the people around us and do what we can to look after each other. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be involved in this, and hopefully you will, those of you that have joined today, will find this useful in some way, possibly even mildly entertaining, but we'll see. We'll do our best. Okay, I'm joined here today by Alan and Biltos, who train with me here at my dojo. And today I thought what we do is try and take you through some of the common themes or the usual sort of concepts that we train and are very conscious of when we're training karate here in Okinawa. Now, of course, in Okinawa, there are many different schools of karate and varieties of karate, but and they might seem on the surface to be quite different. You might look at the way that, say, Goju-ryu karate moves and does their kata, for example, and the way that Shorin-ryu karate moves and does their kata, and the way that Uechi-ryu moves and does their kata. And you might think that looks quite different. But even within that variety, there are some commonalities, kind of principles which kind of stretch across, let's say, traditional karate in Okinawa. And even, I think, a bit wider than that, even to some schools of martial arts here, which are not strictly speaking classed as karate, but also kind of are built around some of those core basic principles. So what principles are we talking about? We're going to talk about 4 terms today, and I'm going to hold this board up, and hopefully you can read this. First of all, I apologize for my terrible handwriting in both English and Japanese. It's laughably bad, but we'll do our best. So the 4 terms that we're going to be looking at are uke, which probably many of you have heard before if you've done karate, muchimi, kuzushi, again a common term across Japanese martial arts, and bane. Uke, muchimi, kuzushi, and bane. And these are written here in katakana, which is the one of the character sets in Japanese, just for your reference. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what each of those mean, and then we'll move into the training, which hopefully will illustrate some of those principles as we go through. So uke means to receive, and one of the first, if not the first, techniques you might learn when you start to learn karate are uke techniques, right? Blocking techniques, typically translated in English as blocking, but that's actually a very poor translation. Uke in Japanese means to receive. It doesn't mean to stop or block. So what we're going to do today is look at more of a meaning of uke, which is about receiving. But this will be in the context which, if you're a karateka, you will recognize, right? So we have Jodan uke positions, Chudan uke positions, Yedan uke positions, for example. And there are obviously other variations too. So within that, we're going to look at what does it mean to treat uke as methods of receiving as opposed to methods of stopping or blocking. The next term is muchimi. Muchimi wasn't a term that was so well known until, particularly outside of a few dojos in Okinawa, until relatively recently. It's an Okinawan word, muchimi, and it has this kind of 2 meanings. One is like almost like a stickiness, like sticky rice cake. This kind of sticky feeling, and the other is a sense of whipping. Yeah, so a whipping motion, almost like a leather bullwhip. So this concept muchimi is interesting in that it is used kind of to talk about 2 qualities. Yeah, a stickiness and also a whippiness as well. we'll see that uchimi becomes immediately applicable to uke, for example, and striking as we go into our practice. So the next word that we looked at is kuzushi. So kuzushi is a term which is kind of a core concept for probably most Japanese martial arts, and particularly those ones that involve throwing techniques or takedown techniques. Because kuzushi literally means to take the base. It means to break somebody's stance. The actual Chinese, the character for it has a connotation of taking out the base of the mountain. So kuzushi is about breaking the other person's stance or breaking their structure so that they are unbalanced and unable to build anything on top of that broken structure. And the fourth term that we looked at was bane. And bane, again, bane is kind of the way that my instructor, Arakaki Sensei, who you can see in the picture there, just behind me on the wall, he talks a lot about bane. And bane in particular is a quality that Matsubashi karate tends to focus on. And it is this sort of snappy, elastic power. So think of bane as meaning like a spring steel, yeah? Like, again, kind of a whipping motion, but like a spring steel that gets pushed and comes flapping back, right? Comes hitting back. So bane basically means like springiness. Okay, and we're going to see that quality come through in the way that we move, generating power from our core, and how that is then extended through to our limbs, hands, legs, etc. Okay, so uke, uchimi, kuzushi, and bane. All right, so what we're going to do, particularly for you guys that are working along with us, we're going to go into a warm-up phase first. What I'd like to do is take you through a sequence that we use here. This is a sequence from Matsubashi Karate, and this sequence is typically used as a way of building core skills into the body, but it's also a good warm-up sequence. Okay, so if you're ready, then we'll begin. I'm just going to change the camera, flip the camera back just for a second. Okay, here we go. So let's get. Okay, we'll bow to each other. Okay, so we're going to go into horse riding stance. So from here, step out to the left. Yeah, parallel stance, feet parallel, knees slightly bent. Sink your weight down and bring the hands out. Here. Good. Okay. Bring hands in and out. Ich, ni, san, chi, go, rok, chich, hach, kyu, ju. Good. And again, we want to move from the elbows, yeah? Ich, ni, san, chi, go, rok, chich, hach, kyu, ju. Good. In all of these exercises, you don't really need to take the hands out wider than the edge of your shoulders, yeah? Next one hand down from there into the middle, other one stays up covering the center. So we're doing chudan and geidan, yeah? Bring them together, center line cover, and change. And change. Ich, ni, san, chi, go, rok, chich, hach, kyu, ju. And again, bring this across and cover the center, and then change. Ich, ni, san, chi, go, rok, chich, hach, kyu, ju. Right. Bring the top hand down to meet the other one just in front of your hip. So we're going to do this slowly first. Try to pivot from the center of your body. So don't move your legs. Keep your legs nice and strong here. Pivot. And you roll and punch close to the body. Close to the body. From the side, here, here, here. Yeah, okay. So slowly first. Ich, ni, san, chi, go, rok, chich, hach, kyu, ju. Very good. Really trying to control your movement from the center. This time, we're going to move by pulling from the elbow. So rather than thinking about pushing with this hand, pull, and let the other hand go through naturally. Yeah, so we're going to pull itch, ni, san, chi, wo, rock, chich, hatch, cube, jib. Good, okay, and back to guard. Okay, so your hand should be just in front of your shoulders. Yeah, be careful not to pull your hands too close in. Keep them out at about 90 degrees and level with your shoulders. From here, short jab. So no hikite, no pulling back, and just jab. So if you can, start from your hip, use that to propel your elbow and your fist forward. Okay, so stay relaxed, right, left and right. Itch, ni, san, chi, wo, rock, chich, hatch, cube, ju. Good. And again. So you're just going to hit into the center each time. Push forward with your lead finger, index finger, knuckle. Right. Itch, ni, san, chi, wo, rock, chich, hatch, cube, ju. Good, okay. Next one, similar movement, but we're going to use uraken. So loose wrist and hit with the back of the knuckles. One, uraken like this. Uraken, yeah? So loose wrist. Right? Itch, ni, san, chi, wo, rock, chich, hatch, cube, ju. 10 more. Itch, ni, san, chi, wo, rock, chich, hatch, cube, ju. All right, good. Try and keep those wrists loose for that one. Next one, shote, which is palm heel. So as we move in, rotate and hit with the palm, then come back. Hit and come back. Try to use the natural elasticity in your joints here. Stretch and then allow that to bring you back. Right? So you shouldn't be using strength to pull back, but just allowing your body to stretch and come back to its natural position. So itch, ni, san, chi, wo, rock, chich, hatch, cube, ju. And again, itch, ni, san, chi, wo, rock, chich, hatch, cube, ju. Right. Good. Okay, good. Combination. Jab, uraken, shote, and back to guard. And then the other side. Jab, uraken, shote. All right. Like itch, ni, san, chi, wo, rock, chich, hatch, cube, ju. Okay, and relax. Okay, good. Next sequence. Okay, again, we're going to back into horse riding stance. Just parallel stance, knees slightly bent from the side. Yeah, not stood up, knees a little bit bent. Kind of feeling like you're sitting down into the stance. It should feel very, very stable. Right. This time I'm just going to put hands up here. Do ashibarai, leg sweep. So from here, sweep, sweep. Okay, you don't have to impact on your leg. This is kind of a bit of conditioning and training if you want to, but you can bring the leg in front as well. That's okay too. Okay, so we're going to go left and right. Try to avoid too much body shifting left and right. Try and hold it in the center. From the left. Hey, it's ni, san, chi, wo, rock, chich, hatch, cube, ju. That's good. We do the same movement again, but finish with the stamp. This is called fumikomi in Japanese. So stamping. So I'm going to do the sweep and really focus on the stamp as I come down. Stamping with the ball of my foot, yeah, not the heel. Yeah, you can damage yourself if you crash your heel into the ground. Stamp with the ball of your foot, okay? Right, so again, itch, ni, san, chi, wo, rock, chich, hatch, cube, ju. Okay, good. Hands in the middle. Relax your upper body. We're going to stretch. This is a stretching exercise to extend the connecting tissues in your joints on the arm. Yeah. Ich, ni, san, chi, fo, ro, shich, hach, cube, jup. Okay, good. This time, add a little more hip to it. Yeah. So try to pull from the left, pull from the right. Both hands are going to go out, but try to use the left hip, use the right hip. Okay. Ich, ni, san, chi, fo, ro, shich, hach, cube, jup. Good. Hands in the middle. So we're going to bring the hands to this position, and then we'll be rolling like a double back fist. Roll that back to a ground position. Like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Right. Ich, ni, san, chi, fo, ro, shich, hach, cube, jup. Good. Okay. The hips can rotate forwards and backwards too, right? Forwards and slightly up, backwards and slightly down sitting. So now we're going to try and move from our hips. So our hips propel the hands forward. Okay, so now initiate the movement from your hip, using it as it goes up through your body. Right? Ich, ni, san, chi, go, rok, shich, hach, cube, jup, three. Okay, good. Next position, cross down to gate down barai position, right? And then come back to cross. Okay. Ich, ni, san, chi, go, rok, shich, hach, cube, jup. That's good. Again, we'll now try to add more hip. So again, left hip, right hip. So now the hip is not just moving laterally, it's also moving down. Yeah, so you're going to dropping your hip down like you would for get down barai position here, but we're just going to keep the feet stable where they are. Dropping the hip, dropping the hip. Still both hands going out. Yeah. Okay. Right. On the left. Ich, ni, san, chi, go, rok, shich, hach, cube, jup. Right. Okay, and the left. Good. Okay, next position. We're going to go into ham mi, half body position. So left leg forward, right leg back at back 45 degrees. My hips are at 45 degrees to the front line and the side line. Yeah. So my belt, if my belt's in the middle of my body, that means it's going to be off at 45 degrees. Okay. Shuto position. Yeah, so you can see from the side. Yeah, shuto, about level with my shoulder. Okay. This one, yeah, not touching, but pointing at my elbow and covering my center line. Yeah, I should be able to cover my center line directly from here. Okay, but we're going to focus on the front hand for now. Yeah, we're going to work sideways. Yeah, we're going to pull in and then bring it back. Yeah, in, pull. All right, if we look from the front, that means it's going to go across the line and come back. Across the line and come back. Okay, right? Ich, ni, san, chi, go, rok, shich, hach, cube, jup. Good. Change. Ich, ni, san, chi, go, rok, shich, hach, cube, jup. Right. Good. So just go back to the left side. So this is a compound action. So this is a warming up exercise too. It's still a compound action, right? So we have a cover here. Yeah. An energy build up and a release, which can be a block or a stop, yeah, or a strike. Right. So 1, 2. So you want to be able to have that bane, the snap, the snappiness there, but flow back into the snappiness there, right? It might be useful to think about operating within, for example, inside somebody's guard, right? Inside the guard and across the guard when hitting into the center line. All right, so one more time, same thing, framework, right? Move from the hip, which is connected to the elbow, to the hand. So what I mean is here, yeah, initiate the movement from your hip, right? So I'm not waving my hand across my body, yeah? Position of my shoulder relative to my arm remains pretty much the same. I use my body as the motion generator, yeah? Right, pitch, knee, san, chi, walk, rock, sit, touch, cue, juke, right, and change. Pitch, knee, san, chi, walk, rock, sit, touch, cue, juke. Okay, and that's good. Next position, haito. So where shuto was the little finger side of the hand, shuto means like a knife hand. Haito is the ridge hand, it's the knuckle side, the thumb side of the hand, yeah? But when we make the shape, we want to keep that thumb tucked in, yeah, so that this edge is the edge that's presented, right? In fact, when we think about hitting, we think about hitting with this knuckle here, yeah, think about hitting with this one. In fact, even just making this shape so that this is the forward point on the hand, yeah. But soft, and then just focus at the end. Okay, uke, soft, releasing, receiving, and then releasing at the end, yeah. And again, try and connect to the hip. Pitch, knee, san, shi, wo, rock, sit, at, cue, ju. Good, on side. Okay, I'm still in my hand me, yeah, half stance, yeah. Pitch, knee, san, shi, wo, rock, sit, at, cue, ju. You can actually work this on the makiwara. For those of you that use striking implements like the makiwara, then it's quite useful to practice hitting with uke, hitting with haito, yeah, as well as hitting with shuto. So when you're hitting with shuto, just to go back, you have your shuto edge, yeah, you have this bony protuberance here, the nodule at the end of the wrist bone, yeah. This is a hard striking surface. And then you have your soft striking surface. So shuto is, you know, a universal tool. You can use it for a lot of things, right? Yeah, both receiving, in which case you're going to use the softer areas, and striking, in which case you're going to use the harder areas, usually. Yeah. Shuto and haito. Okay. Good. Let's go into a familiar position. Hi, chudan ski. Right. So Chudan-ski into our center. We're just going to start slow, but focus on initiating by pulling and replacing. Pulling the lead hand and replacing. Pulling and replacing in exactly the same spot. Okay. Like itch, ni, san, shi, go, rock, shich, ach, kyu, ju. Good. Itch, ni, san, shi, go, rock, shits, hats, cue, ju. Good. Next, Jordan. It's, ni, san, shi, go, rock, shits, hats, cue, ju. It's, ni, san, shi, go, rock, shits, hats, cue, ju. Right. Okay, and relax. Good. When you're punching, you don't want tension through most of the movement. You actually want to try and stay as relaxed as possible through most of the movement, right? If you think about, here we're working from hikite, so kind of one of the longest extensions we can use with punching. As we saw before, you don't need to use hikite to punch. You can punch from here quite well too. But here, hikite, yeah? All of this movement Should be relaxed until about here, and then you can add tension, just at the end. Yeah, so the skill to train when doing these punching position movements and many repetitions is to try to drop the strength, try to drop the tension. The punching happens at the end of the movement. This is not the punch, right? This is just you getting ready to do the punch. Yeah. Okay, so let's try again. We're going to do 20 more reps. Just to chew down, we're simple. We really focus on putting the bane, the snap. Sometimes in Japanese, this is called kime, the focus. But we can also talk about bane, the snap. Yeah, so we're going to put that right at the end. Literally, the distance is about the length of your fist. Yeah, from there to there. That's where the power needs to be. All right. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Right. Okay, yeah. Good. Okay, kicking. So we're just going to do, again, we're still in warm-up phase. We're burning through our time here, but we're still in warm-up phase. Kicking, okay, we're going to kick from a natural stance. Feet just shoulder width apart. Chudan Mayagiri. Keep the hands up, out of the way. Raise the knee, kick, and come back down to a natural stance, okay? No offset stances yet. We're not in Zenkutsu yet. Natural stance. Okay, right. From the right. Pitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Bring the knee up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Okay, yeah. Good. So when we're doing this kicking practice, we want to contract this area to bring our knee up fast and strong, right? So we're contracting. This in Okinawan language is referred to as gamaku. So in Japanese, this is your koshi or kushi in the Okinawan pronunciation. Yeah, koshi is this area. Gamaku is the front area here. And you can think about it, think back from an anatomical perspective, as there are 2 or 3 layers of connecting sinews here that run between the base of your abdomen and the top of your thighs. And those are the muscles that we really want to train, yeah, to build up our kicking speed, power, as well as a lot of other movement generation too. Okay, so one more time. Really focus on now, really working this area of your body. The kick, think of the kicking movement as a framework, yeah? Right, for training this area of your body, right? So let's try again, right? From the right, same again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and relax. Good. Okay. You guys are doing great so far. We're going to take a very, very short break, just 1 minute. Grab some water if you need it, and we'll come right back. Okay, thank you. Okay, so as part of our training in traditional karate, we have a training set called Hojundo. So Hojundo in Japanese literally means supplementary exercises. And so anything can be Hojundo, according to that definition, as a supplementary exercise to your main training. However, there are some set tools and exercises which have been passed down to us through some of the main lineages in schools here. When it comes to Hojundo, one of those primary lineages is Goju-ryu, which was founded by Miyagi Choden Sensei. One of the tools that I like to use here is called Chishi. Chishi is simple, but a very versatile tool. And I recommend, if you don't already use Chishi or something similar, that you look into making a set. They're very easy to make, or getting a set, because they are very, very good supplementary training. And often something that you can add into, for example, your warm-up takes, which is what we're going to do now. So for the next 10 minutes or so, we're going to run through some Chishi exercises. If you don't have Chishi, and I understand that probably most of you don't, just use this to observe and to you can mimic the exercises too. Okay. So let's grab that set. Okay, so what is the Chishi? The Chishi is a stone set into a handle, usually. Okay, so a weight at one end and a handle. Okay, they can come in lots of different shapes and sizes, but the basic premise is that it's a unbalanced weight. Okay, so from a physics perspective, the further away from the weight you hold it, the more load you have to hold, right? So the more work you do, right? The closer, the less work you do. So when you're using these tools, there are no set rules. So you can vary your grip based on what you need to achieve. Okay, if you want to do more work, you grip further away. Okay, we're going to run through some basic exercises. Right, so I'll turn to the side so you can see guys and stay as they are. So we're going to go down into our parallel stance again, like we were sitting before. Okay, bring the Chishi in and push out. In, out. In, out. Ich, ni. San, shi. Go, rock. Switch, hatch. Q, ju. Good. When we're working Chishi all the time, we want to be keeping stability into the latissimus dorsi. These muscles here that are stabilizing your arm, they're on your back. Okay, so really the focus is on building this and the structure in your back, to build stability. Of course, your arms and wrists are going to work, but really focus on these muscles too. Okay, the next one is rotations. Right? So we're going to go forward, drop, and roll over the top. Okay, so ich, ni, san, shi, go, rock, shich, hach, q, ju, wait, rest. So you want to learn to work with the Chishi, Allow it to move naturally and rotate around the center of your body, So I make the center of rotation the center of my body. That makes it easier for me to work with the Chishi as opposed to against it. This is a very useful rule when you're learning to use weapons too. Okay, one more time. Right, same. Going forward rotation. Ich, ni, san, shi, wo, rock, shich, hach, q, ju. Good, and relax. Okay, next exercise, we're just going to work with one Chishi because it's just a little bit simpler. This time, we're going to take a Chishi across the center line and then back to the center. So this is the equivalent of this movement, like this. Okay, so from the right side, ich, Then we bring it out to extension there, yeah? Focus on the trap. Lats rather. Ich, ni, san, si, wo, rok, sich, hach, kyu, ju. Good. You notice that when we do the rotation, we're not letting it go a long way away from the body, yeah? You will damage your shoulder very easily if you start bringing the hands out here, yeah? It's not moving in a circle, yeah? It's moving in a loop. Yeah, I'm pushing it over my body and pulling it forward again. Over and pulling it forward. Okay, let's continue. Hi. Ich, ni, san, shi, wo, rok, sich, hach, kyu, ju. Good, and rest. You can add a layer of intensity to this by working with two at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to keep the left one where it is, extended. Right, ich, ni, san, shi, wo, rok, sich, hach, kyu, ju, and then change. Ich, ni, san, shi, wo, rok, sich, hach, kyu, ju, and relax. Okay, last set, we're just going to use one chi at a time. As I said, there are many, many different exercises that you can use with the chi, some of which were preserved and have come down through the Goju lineage, and others which have either been added from other places or created as people went along. The main thing I found, and this is my personal experience, is don't go too heavy too fast, okay? So your shoulder, particularly if you start using bad form and allowing the weight to go out this way, it's very easy to tear the shoulder, particularly the front of the shoulder there, yeah? So don't go too heavy too fast, okay? It's actually better, to be honest, if you work with a slightly smaller chi and work on this, get the snappy power, yeah? So while we are building strength, yeah, we want to build structure, yeah, and the structure is the bounce and elasticity in our whole body, yeah, and yeah, it's the snappy strength we want to build too. Okay, last exercise in this set. Lay two hands together. Turn so we can see this, yeah. So first we're going to extend out and squeeze like we're squeezing the water out of a towel. Then we're going to drop the weight inside and go down and swap and extend. As we come up, mind your chin, come out and extend. And then we're going to go over the top, right, and forward. So that's one repetition, yeah? So, yeah, squeeze it, and that, knee, and san, and shoot, and squeeze, good. One more, it, and that, knee, san, shoot, and squeeze at the end again, and relax. And one more, it, knee, san, shoot, go. And one more, it, knee, san, shi, go. Nice, as we did it, knee, san, shi, go. And again, it, knee, san, shi, go. And again, it, knee, san, shi, go. One more, it, knee, san, shi, go. Squeeze at the end, focus on the muscles, and then relax. Right? So, just from a time perspective, we're going to move on from Chi-Chi, but hopefully that gave you a flavor. I think it's a really good idea to include some Chi-Chi training regularly in your karate training. It's very, very good supplementary exercise. Okay. Right. Okay, so let's dive into some uke practice. So right at the beginning, I explained that uke in Japanese is derived from the word in Japanese to receive. Yeah? Ukemasu, yeah, receive. So we're going to go into uke practice. Right, so just going to start, and if you're working on your own, then you can just copy the uke side of the practice, right? Okay. So we'll offset so you can see what's happening. So notice it's going to slowly feed me a punch. I'm going to cover with the same side hand, yeah? Okay. There's good. One more time. So notice it's coming to my center line, as usually happens with a punch. I'm just going to cover that and pass it across. So now it's just going to my outside. I'll continue into my uke position. Yeah, okay. Other side, center line, pass across and continue into my uke position. Yeah, so how do I join those two things together? I remain here, I don't pull back and disengage, okay? And just slightly put pressure down, okay? So now you're opening a window here, yeah? Pretty hard for him to punch through underneath right now because there isn't really any space, but he can come through over the top. And then I can cover with this hand and again come behind, right? And then again, he'll punch through, I'll cover and here, yeah? Right? If you push the hand up, the punch will come through here. We're not doing that yet, all right? So whatever window you make, they're likely to punch through, right? So one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I use my shuto edge. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right, so let's have Alan work with Notos. Do exactly the same drill, yeah? And you also get to practice it again. All right, so let's up to 20. Notos can do the punches, yeah? And you can do the receiving, yeah? Side. Yeah. You'll notice here that Alan is actually punching underneath, right? But Notos is just adapting and using the lower part of his shuto surface, right? The shuto surface runs all the way down, right? So he's using the lower part of his shuto and adapting, yeah? Right? So whether the punch ends up coming here, or here, or here, you can use shuto, yeah, to index it and pick it up with this movement, which goes, it covers, yeah, from your belt all the way across. It covers this whole area, right? So you should be able to pick up anything that comes in between here. Yeah, man. Great. Thank you very much. Right. Great. So this is like usual again. Okay. So, okay, right. So if I want to get used to receiving, yeah. Now our natural response, particularly when we feel that there, danger's coming, is to cover and often try to block and stop what's coming at us. We want to try to not negate our natural responses, but build on them. Yeah. That's not as easy as it sounds, right? This is kind of where, you know, the repetitious nature of practice comes in and matters, right? But if Miltos throws a strong straight punch, yeah, strong straight punch, strong straight punch, strong straight punch, yeah, strong straight punch, strong straight punch, good, strong straight punch, strong straight punch. I don't need much. I don't need to do much to stop him hitting me, right? If I try to stop him, I'm going to have more of a problem, yeah? So my relaxation is really important here. So when you're practicing your uke, my first tip for you is relax, yeah? Don't think about every single uke having to be the strongest position and stance that you're ever going to create, right? You can do that later on when you choose. You can choose to put more power into it. Yeah, it's hard to go really strong and then be able to use relaxed, right? That's harder to do. Relaxed to strong is easier to do in my experience. So what we're going to do now is just add a little more speed. Yeah, and speed equals power, right? So Miltos fast, hey, fast, hey, hey. Because I know what shape I'm going for, yeah, then I'm not waiting for him to get to me, right? As he moves, I'm going to him, right? As he punches and moves, yeah, I'm going to him. So I'm not waiting back here for it all to happen here, right? Try to take the initiative, go forward. And this is part of learning the uke is about also kind of going in to meet them, yeah? You're not just trying to bat stuff away. We're trying to go in and meet. So we're going to then build on this uke, right, with a little bit more mobility, right? The safest place for me to be vis-a-vis an attacker is either well out of range or behind them. Yeah, this is a place where they can achieve least attack. Yeah. So now what I'm going to work on is adding footwork. Okay. So when we do our basics, yeah, we tend to align front leg with front arm. Yeah, so same leg, same arm side. Yeah, then we change. Yeah, same leg, same arm. Yeah, change. Same leg, same arm. Okay, so now we're going to use this as movement, irimi movement. Yeah, uki. Yeah, right. So not every one, but every now and again, right? Yeah, I'm going to move behind. Yeah. Okay. Right, and move behind. Yeah. Yeah. So you slow it down. 1, 2. As I'm moving here, right, I'm moving behind. And this is now where we see an example of uchimi, stickiness, right? Right. 1, 2, 3. So I'm sticking, hand sticking here and moving in behind. I'm sticking to him, right? Right, moving in behind. Right, moving in behind. Again, one more time, slowly, little practice. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Right. Try to stick to him and then rotate around that point that where you've connected with him. Okay. If I rotate here, it's not helping me. Yeah, not helping me, obviously. Right. I need to get my connection point and then rotate around that. Okay. So, yes, practice. Slow it right down. Slow this down. Now we're adding in footwork, right? But like 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2. Try to, yeah, so that punch comes in. Move in, so you moved it across. So you get the punch. So, there's my first. So that was that one right there. Now this one comes in. Step. That's where I end up. Again, same foot, same hand. See how you guys are doing. Yeah, nice. So this you can feel is a very circular movement, And this is another characteristic of Okinawan karate, right? It has a lot of circular movements in it.
Change?
Yes, let's change roles. So that you end up still standing next to each other. Yeah, now you pivot on the shoulder. Okay, so let's look at an application from this. This is one that you're probably familiar with. It makes sense from this position where I'm moving in a circle and I have this rotational energy happening. Same setup, 1, 2, 3, move behind and continue with the circle. Let's move back to the camera so we can see what's happening. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going here in my position, right? As I pivot, yeah, now my hip is here. I'm going to continue to pivot on that hip. Yeah. Okay. And keep pivoting on that front foot. Okay. Good. Let's do this. Okay. The more you can get the shoulder, the more control you can get, right? Okay, you guys. So, okay. Oh, that's.
Yeah. Keep moving.
Okay, great, good stuff. So just in the interest of time, we're going to move on. So we're going to look at this Geidan movement, right? So again, as a sort of very general kind of position, it has potentially many applications. Application, maybe a strong word. Many ways of being utilized. Yeah, it can be utilized to block something down here. Right, that can be used. It has pros and cons. And what we're going to do is look at it as a movement, as opposed to an end position. So in Japanese, we would call this Geidan Barai, which means lower sweep. Okay, lower sweep can mean sweeping to the low point, as well as kind of having the focus on the low point, right? So what we're going to do is look at it from again a softer perspective, right? So working on attack now, attack is coming in low, right? So it'll be like a low hook or an uppercut into the body, yeah? So notice it's going to come into here, right? It's this kind of attack, right? Down there into the kidneys or the liver. Yeah? So my natural response, let's let this go a little bit, notice swings in. My natural response is to try to stop that hitting me, yeah? It's quite natural. This response will come out even more if you see something in their hand, like a knife or something like that, right? Yeah, you're either going to try to jump completely out of the way, or you're going to do your best to stop that crashing into your body. Yeah, so we're going to work on that natural response, but we don't want to get locked in a position, right? So that comes in, right? I'm going to use my bridge, my Geidan Barai, to keep it away from my body, but then I'm going to sweep across and bring it through. Yeah. So my movement was 1, 2. Yeah. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay, that's my movement. My footwork hasn't really changed. I didn't really have time to change it so much. Right? Maybe I've moved slightly forward, left, and then I pivot to the right. Yeah? So it's a small variation of footwork. It's not a long Zen Kutsudachi, right? There's no time or requirement for that, right? Right? So we're going to work this as a continuous drill. Yeah, notice we feed 1, and next one, right? And next one, next one, next one, next, right? Next. So slow it down again, right? 1 and sweep across, yeah? 1 and sweep across, 1 and sweep across, 1 and sweep across. Which, leap, sun, sheep, go, which, touch, two, which, leap, sun, sheep, go, rock, 6, touch, 2. So you can see this is the kind of 1, 2. It makes sense to me to be ready here again, yeah? 1, 2. Yeah? 1, 2. 1, 2. Yeah, so I'm working from this stance to this stance, this stance. But it's a Geidan Barai movement that I'm using. All right? You gonna try? Hi. Take it real slow. Okay, so imagine, yeah. Yeah, you start with the punch, yeah. So we're just going to start with the bridge, get out of that position. And same side, same side, same side. Inside, yeah. Now super fast. Okay, so again, what's the advantage here of getting to the outside? Yeah, is that you can get to their back shoulder, you can get behind their shoulder and move to a position behind them. So this is one advantage of not just stopping. You can very easily just put strength into this, bang, present the hard surface of your arm there, and try to just damage their incoming limb. That's also valid as well. But here for this exercise, we want to try and use a combination of muchimi, stickiness, and feeling, sensitivity, with kuzushi. Ideally, I want to take him to a position where he's now off balance. That's going to give me an advantage to be able to then control what happens next. So these guys are putting a bit of oomph into it now. There's a bit of force going in there. Okay. And what you'll notice is that they are naturally starting to look at Alan's body, right? That sort of concave shape now. It's concave. And this is naturally what's going to happen. This is another skill that we need to build in our karate, is our body control. Yeah? Our body control. So being able to concave, bring the without changing the position of our feet, being able to shift weight back and forwards, but also the body concaving and coming back, concaving and coming back. Okay. So there's a lot that we could work from this position, right? Already, for example, we could work on learning to hit specific points on the arms, Q-shot, in order to sort of deaden the arms and deaden the muscles in the arms, right? Take the fangs out of the snake, as they say, by essentially damaging and making the limbs, unusable even for a short period of time. The guys are sort of naturally finding them there anyway, but there's one here, right, on the top of the forearm, which you can use by presenting your bow in here. And then when we come behind, there's one here, right? If you hit this one here, right? So, there are points here, there are points here, there are points here, that you can hit in order to render the arms a lot less useful. I'm not really go into Q-shot today too much. That's a whole other area. Okay, but let's look at another example of how we use uke, soft uke, in order to get to a position of kuzushi, or breaking another person's stance. Okay, so we're going to try. We always try to work to, as much as possible, to realistic attacks and realistic distances. When you're a beginner, naturally, you tend not to want, most people tend not to want to immediately smash the other person they're working with, right? Or be smashed, yeah? So the distances tend to end up being safe distance, yeah? But what we want to do is progressively work to distances that are a little more realistic, because that's the only way we're really going to be able to have a chance of using our skills to protect ourselves, yeah? Also, we need to get used to contact. So one of the, just as an aside, one of the exercises that we do regularly in our training are conditioning exercises, essentially conditioning particularly the limbs for impact. Yeah. So we're conditioning the limbs for impact, hitting the limbs together like this, this kind of thing, this kind of thing, right? And when we're doing impact like this, we're not just conditioning the arms, we're also conditioning the brain, getting it used to dealing with impact on the body. Yeah. So even though we're not punching each other in the body, we're conditioning and getting ourselves used to impact, because from a self-defense perspective, you can train a lot, but if you've never really trained for impact, the first time that somebody actually hits you or grabs you and starts pushing you around, everything can go out of the head. You're just seeing white, and none of the technique that you think you've learned is actually useful to you in the moment that you use it. So as a general side, you need to build conditioning and impact training into your training if you're training for self-defense. Okay, so talking about realistic distances, just this a little bit. So gonna have Alan punch here to Jordan, yeah, and I want to be able to move inside here, yeah. So one more time, right? As we just did, it's this movement, right? 1, 2, yeah. 1, 2. Here we did it more, square. Here's now it's going to be a little more of a nagashi, a little bit more of a sliding movement, right? It's here, nagashi. Okay. Right. It's nagashi. Okay. So I can come through and hit here and take the hand, and as he pulls it back, yeah, I'm going to go for this tweak it, right? So twisting the wrist and taking it off. Okay? I'm not going to try and force him to do it. I'm going to take it if I can use his movement. Okay, so it's, as he pulls back to cover, right? I'm going to go into the lock. So this is an aspect of muchimi. This is an aspect of muchimi, stickiness. Yeah. So if I do this, right? If I do this, I've lost it. I can try and reacquire it again, okay? But in the process of reacquiring it, I'm giving him a signal that, yeah, I'm trying to do something with it, right? So rather than losing this, I'm going to try and stick to it, right? And wherever he moves that, and afterwards, I will stick to it and go with it. If I end up in the other hand. So I'm first going to deal with the punch, right? Punch coming in. I'm going to keep that one from hitting me in the face. Right? This also is a possibility here. Yeah. Slide through, okay. Hit, yeah. As he goes to cover, right? Come through here. Right? 1, 2, here, here. Yeah. 1, 2, here, here, and here. Yeah. So this is an example of uke, right? So if I use stopping uke, there's no way I can get this, right? Yeah. I can't get anything from there. If I grab him, he's just going to pull me in and I'm in trouble, right? So not stopping uke, but receiving uke. Thank you very much. Right. Here, 1, 2, right? And then from there I can do it. Okay, guys want to try it? If you have a partner, practice that. So solo movement, you guys can practice that. Right. We'll see if you work right. So slow punch, just slow step of punch. So soften it into the body. Soften it into the body. Okay. And as Miltos brings his hand back, we go back. So yeah, my movement's going to be 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cover. Make sure you cover the face. Cover. Sweep as you move in. Hit with a fist or elbow, whatever is closest, or even forearm, whatever is available here. Yeah, and then roll in up. Yep. Outside. It's yeah. You can see also that we're looking for kuzushi too. We're looking to break their stance, break their balance, right? Once we break in the stance and the balance, and that first happens with Yuki actually, because they expect there to be some resistance to the strike. They expect to hit something, right? So we don't give them resistance. We allow it to go forward. So now they're starting to come off balance. Strike there, breaks the stance, and then we can use the joint lock. If you don't apply kazushi first, it's very difficult to get kansetsu waza or joint locks to work. if someone is still basically very solid and balanced, it's much harder to try to apply tuite or joint manipulations, right? Because they can resist from a strong base. Right? So you really want to break their base first in order to be able to take advantage of an opportunity for a joint lock. Okay.
Yeah.
So we also see an application principle of Bannet here as well, right? From a short distance. Yeah. This short striking, generating force from the body, right? Here and here too. Again, using Bannet power, yeah, from the hips coming through.
And join at the same time.
Okay. Okay, so just to finish that equation, so the question would come up, oh, well, how do you finish that position? High punch, it's here, yeah, and bring it down. Okay. When you've got someone down on the ground, yeah, so just shift back, When you've got someone down on the ground, yeah, they're not going to stay there, yeah. So, yeah, come in, right, knee on the shoulder, right, and try and position their hand here in front of your groin, right. From here, yeah, you're not going to be able to stay here for a long time. This is not a restraint position; it's just a position of verifying, yeah, that what's going on around you. And from there, if you wish to damage them severely, then you just go, you keep moving through that direction. Yeah, take their shoulder basically over their head, take their arm over their head, right? So you don't need to get into this down here, right? Yeah, use your lower body, use your base, right? From here, for a moment, I can also keep my hands free, and my momentum is going to be moving through this direction, which will damage his shoulder quite severely. Of course, I can stamp on his head as I go as well. You need to be very careful about stamping on people's. Okay. Okay. So, would you guys like to do a Q&A? I'm very happy to take any questions that you have. It can be on what we've trained today, or more in general. I don't mind about karate training in Okinawa or the dojo or whatever you like. So, would you like to spend the last 10 minutes or so as a Q&A? Like I say, I'm very happy to field any questions that you have. If you want to ask a question, just please switch your mic on. Or write it in the chat function, and then Philippe can see it, and we can fill that way.
Feel free to raise your hand or just start talking and mute your microphone if you have any questions. Okay, no questions?
While we're waiting for questions.
All right, okay, I can see the faces. Yeah, thanks, that was
While we're waiting
great.
for questions, let me just say, I do get questions from people regularly about what's the status of Okinawa right now in terms of people being able to visit here. As you know, Okinawa is a popular destination, particularly for people coming to train for karate. Currently, at the moment, the Japanese government hasn't quite opened up for general tourists to visit, but it looks like we're moving towards that. We are hopeful that certainly by midsummer, we hope that people will be able to visit the country again fairly freely, probably with a general condition that you've been vaccinated, which is kind of the thing that's being applied to most countries now, right? So hopefully, yeah, within the next 2 to 3 months, we'll see that Japan will start to open up again for general visitors. So I get that question a lot. So,
We're getting lots of thanks and compliments in the chat. So people seem to really have enjoyed it. I found it very insightful. I had never heard of Bane before. So I was quite familiar with the other terms, but it was the first time I saw that. So it was really insightful. I was able to learn sitting here and warming up. So I would like to thank you again, Sensei James, for this cause. And it was really an honor to have you here today. And I think people really enjoyed it. It was an enrichment to have your point of view of karate and showing to people how Okinawan karate works. I don't know about most people that are in this room, but I know that most people do Japanese karate around the world. So it's always refreshing to have that perspective. So I'd like to thank you all for joining today. Our schedule will keep going today for a couple of hours, and around 1.5 hours, I'll be doing my class, and then we're gonna have a lot of very interesting things. So feel free to join anytime. And the most important thing, thank you all for your support. Sensei James, thank you, and thank your students. So if you guys can see me, thank you for your help. And I wish you all a great day and enjoy the probably a sunny day in Okinawa. No, really.
But you know, it's okay.
Okay, so if you'd like to close the class.
Thank you. I would like to say again, deep gratitude. I feel very privileged to be included in this initiative. Thank you so much. Everything that we can do, we should, particularly to help the people of Ukraine at the moment, and in general, to try to ameliorate the impacts of war and indeed avoid war. Anybody that knows anything about the culture around Okinawan karate will know that it's really built around peace, and that the Okinawans lived through one of the ugliest and deadliest episodes of warfare in the Battle of Okinawa, and karate has become very much for all the teachers that I know a vehicle for peace, and hopefully a vehicle for world peace. So let's keep doing what we can individually and collectively to help each other rather than hurt each other. Okay, thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one. Okay, bye-bye.